Hello and welcome to our number talk. Today we are looking at the expression 13 times 15. And what we do in a number talk is we use mental math. That means no paper, no pencil to try to solve this. And then we look at all the different ways we could have figured it out. So before we go any further, let's go ahead and do that. Please pause the video, figure out 13 times 15 in your head, and then when you have your answer, let's unpause the video and look at all of our strategies together. So 13 times 15, when in doubt, we could always use the distributive property when we're doing a 2 by 2 multiplication to break apart one of our factors. So let's take our 15 and let's break it apart into a 10 and a 5. And that's just going to make us view that 15 as expanded form. So we're going to take our 13, instead of multiplying it by 15, we're going to multiply it by 10. And we're going to multiply it by 5 and add up those two partial products. That's what the distributive property does for us. And so we can turn this into two simpler problems. So 13 times, instead of 15, times 10. That's easy. That's 130. Because 13 times 10 is 13 times 1, 13, with a 0. And then we're going to add that 13 times 5. So we multiplied it by 10. Now we need to multiply it by 5 because 10 and 5 make 15. And so that's going to get us 65. So if we add up our 130 and our 65, hopefully, when you did this mentally, you got the answer of 195. We can also use the distributive property to break apart that 13. So let's do 13 as a 10 plus 3. Place value is always a great way to do it. Multiply both of those by 15 to get our partial products. So 10 times 15, that's easy, that's 15 with a 0, 150. And then we've got 3 times 15, and that is going to get us 45. And we put those together, we're going to get back to our 195. Now, if either of those don't work, we could also use the associative property. Now, what the associative property is going to do is this is the grouping property. And so this is going to let us kind of change the groups. So we break down one of the factors into two smaller factors. So it's not addition like it was with the distributive property. Can't do anything with 13 because 13 is a prime number, which means we are going to break up this 15. And let's break it up into a 3 times 5. So instead of 13 times 15, we have 13 times 3 times 5. And the associative property just lets us regroup this. I want to shift the parentheses, and I want to put my 13 times 3 together. Still going to give me the same answer. But now I want to do, I don't want 13 groups of 3, I want 3 groups of 13. This is where the commutative property comes in. That's my order property. So I want 3 groups of 13. And then I want to use the commutative property one more time. I want to do 5 groups of 3 groups of 13. So I've got my 3 factors. I'm just rearranging them all over the place because now I can mentally quickly count this. So here are my 3 groups of 13. 1, 2, 3. And that's going to get me 39. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to skip count by 39s. Really, I'm just going to skip count by 40s and then just take one away each time. And that's going to get me up to 5 sets of 39. So the 40 and 40 is 80, so I've got to make it 78. Add another 40, it's going to be 120, so take another one away is 117, 156, and then 195. We still can't break up that 13, but we can take a look at our 15 as a 5 times 3, and that's probably going to be a little bit easier than the 3 times 5. So we're going to once again regroup these as 13 times 5. So 13 groups of 5. Still don't want to do 13 groups of 5. I'd rather do 5 groups of 13. And I want to bring this 3 up to the front, so I want 3 groups of 5 groups of 13. So I've got my 5 groups of 13. That's going to be a little bit easier because 5 groups of 13 is going to get me 65. Here's my 1, 2, 3, for 5 groups of 13. And then I'm just going to skip count by 65s 3 times. That's 130, 195. So those are just a few of the ways that we could have solved 13 times 15. If you found another way, that's fantastic. Go ahead and drop that as a comment on the video. Teachers, if you would like a copy of this slide deck for your own use in the classroom, you can find it on my website, 5minutemath.net.